Bobby Borg here, Professor Bobby Borg, also known as Coach. Testing 1, 2, 3. I always like to do a couple testing 1, 2, 3s because I notice that sometimes it actually starts a little bit late. So I got all these bugs flying around me. Whew. All right, anyway, you guys, today we're going to be talking about promotion. And promotion is a very important topic, and it's also very detailed. But I'm going to just give you an overview of this, okay? If you want more, you got to do the reading, right? And this and all this stuff is based on music marketing for the DIY musician. Just search for it on Google. And of course, I've got tons of videos at youtube.com/Bobby Borg if you want any more detail on any one of the specific things that I'm talking about, okay? So in any case, let's get going with this. So what is promotion? A lot of people, God, these bugs are all over the place. A lot of people don't even know what promotion is. Promotion is the process of informing your target audience about what's special about you and, and information about you, of course, all for the purpose of getting them to care, right? And there's a variety of different ways that you can actually send out that message. There's what's called a rational appeal and an emotional appeal. A rational appeal is where you go straight in for the sale. You use testimonials, you use you really push your unique selling point. You might have some statistics or something about how many followers you have or whatever. You might use quotes and things of that nature. And it's pretty much the approach you use when you're going in for the sale. And then there's the emotional approach. And the emotional approach is where you draw people into your world, right? You use humor, you use shock, you use maybe even sex appeal, you use interesting stories about you. You draw them into your world. And there has to be a combination of the two of those things really for promotion to work. Nobody wants to be sold to. No one wants to be told, click on my link, do this, do that. They want to get to know you a little bit first. They want to sort of fall in love with you first. They want to be sort of a friend of you first before they're going to start clicking on stuff, right? So usually you start off with a combination of emotional and rational, with heavily weighted on the emotional side. Gary Vee actually calls this jab, 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 hook, right? So in other words, like boxers, you jab, you jab, you jab, and then you go for the knockout punch, okay? So that's kind of the idea behind this. A couple really, really important things, obviously, about promotion that I should share with you guys is maybe what's called the AIDA model. The AIDA model stands for attention, interest, decision, and action. That means that you want to get people's attention, right? You want to get people's attention. You want to get their interest by drawing them in with something that interests them. You want to help them to make a decision by giving them a lot of information. And then you want to kind of urge them to take action, which, and have some sort of call to action. That's pretty much what most promotional pieces contain. And you see a lot of stuff on TikTok that uses that same outline. Okay, it's called the AIDA model, so kind of remember it, all right? All right, a couple of really, really important parts about promotion is engagement. It's got to be a two-way street, as I pointed out. It can't be you just barking out messages. It's kind of inviting people into your world, to do contests, to give their opinions about stuff, and to kind of communicate, to answer their questions, that type of thing. All right, so now let's move on. What I want to do right now is I want to talk about the process of looking at all of your research before you start to promote. So in other words, promotion comes later on in the cycle of marketing. So in other words, you have to know who your customers are. You have to know who your competitors are. You have to understand your brand. You have to understand where you're putting your products. You have to understand what you're selling them for, so that when you promote, you can put all of that information into the promotion. Okay, so that's what's really, really important about promotion. You have to understand that. All right, so let's get started. What are the different types of promotion that exist? Now, first of all, I'm just going to say this. The most used promotion is online promotion, obviously. And that's going to consist of Spotify playlist. It's going to consist of TikTok and Instagram and running ads, right? Those are the four things where everyone puts most of their time and effort. And that's probably where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. but it would be irresponsible not to talk about all the other forms of promotion that exist too. So that's what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to do that rather quickly, okay? Just going to say hi to a couple of people. Mark, what's going on? A couple other people online here. So, all right. So the first type of publicity is called, I beg your pardon, the first type of promotion is called publicity. And publicity is what's called earned media. That means you're earning the media. You're earning the attention. You're earning it in write-ups and stories and reviews. Let's just say, for example, in magazines or on blogs. You're earning it, in a radio interview. You're earning it in a podcast interview. You're earning it maybe in a playlist that you get put on. So that's what's called earned media, okay? And your objectives usually for earned media are getting interviews, stories, and reviews. And it's really, really important, because if I were to Google your name right now, like how many things would come up where people are actually talking about you rather than you talking about yourself, right? So it helps, right? All right, so the first thing you could do is build a press kit. Obviously, you have to create one sheets. You have to write a press release, and then you can submit that stuff to different local press. You can actually even reach out to morning shows on TV. And I'm talking about the free stuff, not where they're going to charge you to get on their morning shows. There's a lot of morning shows that want to talk about local things that are happening that are newsworthy. So let's just say, for example, we just had a big fire out here in California. Let's just say you were a group that was releasing a record and the proceeds were going to be donated to the fire victims. Or let's just say you were doing a concert and that the proceeds were dedicated to fire victims. Let's just say, for example, you might actually be able to get on KTLA TV out here in the morning. And that could be huge, right? What else? Reaching out to bloggers and podcasters for stories, interviews, and reviews. Throwing charity events. Usually when you throw a charity event, the press wants to support you. They also, radio stations will also let you do what's called PSAs, which are public service announcements. Sponsors will want to get involved with you. Another way to attract media is to just get out and network where the media is. So for example, in Los Angeles, we have different industry parties, and we have award shows and things of that nature, film festivals. Get out there. And because, essentially, if you want to be part of the news if you want to be part of the news that is covered in your scene, you have to be part of the scene. Throwing record release parties, even doing publicity stunts. These are all ways that you can attract media. And then, of course, you could hire a professional. The only problem with hiring a professional is that it costs money. And in order to get results, you have to do it consistently for a long time. Okay? So unless you have a big budget, it's probably not advisable. You can see how much a beautiful day it is today. Check it out, you guys. Beautiful, beautiful, right? Look at the sky. That's one thing, man, we have out here in Los Angeles. You cannot beat it. You cannot beat the weather. All right, the next thing you could do is what's called paid advertising. Paid advertising is obviously exactly what it sounds. When you pay someone to say what you want them to say, essentially, or do what you want them to do. The problem with paid advertising is it's not as credible because obviously, people know it's paid, right? But essentially, you could do social media advertising. You could do boosts. And there's different types of boosts that you can do, like on Instagram and TikTok. You could do YouTube ads, skippable, non-skippable, bumper ads, etc. You could do regular ads by using like Facebook Ad Manager and things of this nature. It's not automatic. It's not like you're just going to do an ad and all of a sudden you're going to blow up, right? Because as I always say, you can't promote a turd, right? So you have to have good content first. And all basically advertising does is magnify the content you already have. So if you have bad content, you're just magnifying bad content. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so it all comes down to having really great content first. So be careful with just like trying to throw money into advertising. Okay, there's online keyword advertising. That's like when you do a search for something, you're bidding for a keyword and your ad will come up first. A lot of times you see those ads that come up as sponsored. You know, that is another form of advertising. There's also Spotify advertising. You could run ads on Spotify. There's print advertising. There's radio and cable advertising. There's out-of-home advertising. Out-of-home advertising is where you do stuff like wraps on your truck, or you do, you know, you know, like advertise maybe on a bus stop or something like that, but that's not really affordable for DIY artists. Then there's what's called branded specialty advertising. That's like where you make shirts and hats or keychains with your logo and then you give them away. That's a form of advertising. And of course you could hire an ad company. There's companies like Taboola and AdRoll and Content Studio and stuff like that. But again, keep in mind that you have to pay for the service and then you have to pay for the ad too. Okay, online advertising. This is like, I mean, online promotion. This is where most people are going to want to do most of their work. Obviously, you could build a personal website. A lot of people argue you don't need one, but I would say, why the hell not? You could create AI websites in a flash. They're cheap, they're affordable, and it's kind of a hub. And it also sends a message that you're sort of serious or more serious than someone that's not going to do it. Of course, social media advertising is very, very important, or social media promotion, I should say, is really huge, of course. The key to succeeding is you have to be consistent, and the problem with being consistent is that most people burn out, right? So you have to have some sort of content strategy that you can do for a year, you know, and like, so like you're saying, man, I'm going to post every day on TikTok, or I'm going to post every day on Shorts or something like that, and actually live up to it. And that's where you start to see traction. It doesn't when you post every once in a while. But on that note, keep in mind, it's quality first. So if you're posting crap, that's every day, that's not going to help either. So it's got to be quality stuff first and foremost. And then think about entertaining. You know, as I said, entertain, engage with people before you try to sell them. And never fake or inflate, or that's not going to work. All right, get on streaming playlists, of course. You know, it's funny, everyone always tries to figure out how to get like on Spotify playlists. And even Spotify will tell you, it comes down to some of the basics. Release your single, you know, or at least pitch it to Spotify curators at least 3 weeks before your release. And then once it's out, you know, get fans to follow you on Spotify, encourage fans to listen to your music on Spotify, get fans to add your music to your own playlist, share those playlists with everyone, submit music on blogs to playlists outside of Spotify, create a story on your social networks, on your YouTube and Instagram, etc., so that people just get excited about you. And I mean, this is how you actually get on playlists and stuff, and sometimes even creating your own playlists and getting fans to create playlists and sharing them. Okay, you guys. Also creating shareable videos, like, you know, make content both vertical and horizontal that gets people into, brings people into your world, right? You let them know a little bit about who you are as an artist. You know, maybe activities like you in the studio, you on the way to rehearsal, you know, you talking about a new song that you're writing, you know, that type of stuff. Not just here's my song and, you know, here's me playing along with my song. Okay. And you can make humorous videos, you can make lifestyle videos. There's just so many different types of videos you can do. All right. Let's see what else. Guerrilla marketing. That's something a lot of people don't talk about. Guerrilla marketing is street marketing. You know, again, these are the smaller things that you could do, but you could do street stencils. You could do, and a lot of people have done them. Kendrick Lamar does them. Harry Styles does them, right? You could do postering. You could do stickering. Postcards where you're going around handing out postcards with QR codes on them. Right. Some people even do what's called guerrilla raids, where they like actually play in a location outside. They like tell their social media, they film it, and then they split before like the mall cop shows up. Word of mouth marketing is just getting people to talk about you. And there's two ways typically to do that. Be excellent or piss people off. Those are usually the two ways to do it. You could utilize influencers to talk about you, obviously, and then you could seed what's called opinion leaders. these aren't necessarily the people that are on Spotify, on on Instagram and have millions of followers. These could be the local radio DJ, they could be the local barber, they could be, the local record store owner. If you get these people to talk about you too, these are influencers as well. You could use mystery. There's a lot of people that use mystery campaigns to kind of get people to start talking, like, hell, what is that poster I see everywhere? What is that sticker I see everywhere? That kind of thing. There's so many things you could do. You could start rumors, distribute free samples, and so on and so forth, okay? So those are a couple things that you could do. Now let's talk a little bit more about some other things, and then I'm out of here, you guys. So who's watching? We got Mark. We got, a lot of people come up with usernames I cannot even read. All right, so another technique you can do is what's called sponsoring. That's where it's a symbiotic relationship between like a product-based company and you, and both parties benefit. So for example, when I was a professional drummer, I was endorsed by Tama, Dean Markley, Zildjian Cymbals, etc. And I would play their stuff, and they would, and that gave them exposure when I was on tour. But then they would put me in their magazines, they'd put me in their ads, so it was a symbiotic relationship. So you could find companies that would be interested in doing this with you. And you could even do this locally. You could go to local stores that sell the types of products that your fans buy and come up with some mutual kind of agreement, like they'll play your music in their store, or they'll like put posters up in the window, or they'll let you do an in-store performance or something of that nature. All right, what else? Okay, moving on, you guys. What else do we got for promotion? Radio. A lot of people discount radio. They go, oh, radio's not important anymore. Getting on your college radio station, getting on a small commercial radio station in your territory to announce your shows, to maybe do an interview with you, to play your music is definitely huge. It's not as huge as it used to be, but definitely it is something to look at. Why not, right? All right, direct marketing is things like using email lists. Email is still very, very important. You could even send direct mail, like sending out postcards in the mail to your followers. Let's just say, for example, listen, I don't get any of that anymore. So you might call it old school. I would say it's new school because no one is doing it anymore, right? So all of a sudden I go to my mailbox and I see like a postcard. Interruption, you guys. All right, so what else? Calling people, calling fans, right, on their phone. That could be a way, or texting them. Like, of course, but always ask permission to do something like that, okay? Sales promotions, that's where you say, hey, you guys, we're playing tonight, and thanks for coming out. It's our 1-year anniversary or whatever. Tonight, we're selling our shirts for, 2 for the price of 1, that kind of thing. That creates urgency, and that gets people to respond. So you could do sales promotion, and then face-to-face selling. Face-to-face selling, you guys, I'm going to end on this. Face-to-face selling is basically the act of getting eye to eye with people and convincing them that there's a purpose to have a relationship together. And this is huge. And the problem that today is that there's so many people that suck at this because everyone's on their phones all day and no one's interacting anymore. But if you could walk up to a crowd and put out your hand and have a firm handshake and make people laugh and make people like you, whether or not that's at a conference, whether or not that's at a party, this is the way you're really going to sell yourself, by getting out eye to eye, hanging out at the right spaces, trying to get in on sessions like in recording studios and stuff like that, where you're just hanging out, going to the right parties, not to get drunk and stoned, but to hang out and meet some good people. That is really how you can also further your cause as well. So keep that in mind. So as I said, this is just an overview, you guys. Definitely be sure to check out Music Marketing for the DIY Musician, because that's where you're going to get all the details, okay? My name is Bobby Borg. Pass this email along to friends. And if you guys ever have questions, whatever, just leave them and I'll be sure to answer them. And I'm usually jumping on these live sessions all the time. So I hope you guys found this useful. And again, one more time, check out our beautiful California weather. Woo! There you go. All right, you guys. Peace, love, and I'll see you later.